Welcome to the Franchise Woman Podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships are forged. I'm Rebecca Monet, CEO and Chief Scientist at Zoracle Profiles, along with my co-host, community advocate, speaker, author, and entrepreneur, Tracy Kawa. Our special guest today is Tania Sterl. Tania Sterl is the founder of Sterl on Style. She's a personal stylist, a fashion expert, speaker, and published co-author. As a former fashion designer whose designs were worn by TV personalities like Deborah Norvell of the Inside Edition, the Fox News team, and TV shows like What Not to Wear, her designs were also featured in magazines from Marie Claire to Essence, showing individuals how to showcase themselves with style. Now a New York City-based stylist, Tania styles industry leaders, executives, speakers, and authors for TV, photo shoots, TED Talks, interviews, and more, showing professionals how to enhance their image to elevate their influence in tune with their current role and future goals, to be perceived as the thought leaders and experts they truly are. Tania, we're so excited to have you. We're going to be taking notes the whole time. I have an idea. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, we're really excited to see you. Tania, you have not only this really interesting, like a dream profession, but you also have an amazing career trajectory, starting out from what I understand in the Midwest. How did you come to find your passion and purpose?
Yeah, so people see me today as this, fashion expert. I was also a model. I always put myself together so well with my style to, express who I am and show the world who and how I am. But this is years in the making. I don't just, wake up in the morning and look like this. And this wasn't, it doesn't happen overnight. So I actually came from very humble beginnings. I grew up in the Midwest, in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. My mom grew up on a farm. My father was an auto mechanic. I had two older brothers, and I was always the creative kid. I was always dressing up my Barbie dolls. I was making clothes for them, and they were like, rock stars and business owners and had their own car. And it was like, Ken doll? Who needs a Ken doll? Like the Barbies were just like it. And I always I watched my mom sewing and making clothes. She would make clothes for us kids. She would make Halloween costumes. So I grew up a very creative, curious child. And I loved, like I said, dressing up my Barbie dolls. And I also loved to not just dress up, but play with my image in different ways. I would make 2 Halloween costumes just so I could go out trick-or-treating twice, right? And all throughout grade school and high school, I really went to the beat of my own drum. I used to make my own clothes. I used to dye my own hair. So I was also kind of seen as this outsider, especially in the humble Midwest. It was all about, the girls with the long hair and the curves and the cheerleaders and, the popular girls. And I was always kind of that more artsy kid. And I hung out with my friends, from art classes, but I also kind of blended into a lot of different groups. But I was also bullied. I was bullied for looking different and going to the beat of my own drum. But I never let that deter me. I never went, oh, I better just, give up and blend in. So I was always very independent and creative. And I like to say that in high school, Linda Evangelista saved my life.
Yes.
Love Linda.
Yeah, do you remember Linda Evangelista, the supermodel in the 90s?
Fabulous.
Yeah, I like to say that she saved my life because in high school, my literature teacher asked us to write a paper about a hero of ours. So I wrote about Linda Evangelista because I would get lost in the fashion magazines, being the creative person that I was, getting inspiration for different outfits. I worked in a fabric store. I made my own clothes. But discovering Linda Evangelista, here was this supermodel, but she had short hair. She had this long, prominent nose. She had this angular features. And I went, oh, I get it. I can be my version of beautiful. What makes me unique is actually, what makes me cool and what makes me different. So I like to say I went from freak to chic. We used to, me and my friends used to be called freak in high school, right? The outsiders. So I went from freak to chic. But that really inspired me. And I thought, you know what? How can I use my creativity? How can I use, my love of fashion and how it's used to express ourselves to pursue a career in fashion? So I flew from the Midwest in the 90s and started my fashion design, actually education at UW-Madison. They had a program that transfers to the Fashion Institute of Technology here in New York City. And that's where, I made my dreams of working in fashion here in New York City come true.
Wow, what a journey. You're talking to every little girl who's a little different, right? And you embraced your own beat. You accepted that you were unique and different, and it was okay. And thank goodness you had a role model to take a look at. Having been raised in the Midwest myself as a high schooler and junior higher, I was one of those conformists. So I know what you mean about how we tend to put ourselves in a little box. So that's you're to be applauded that you were comfortable being you and expressing you. So, okay, now what's fascinating to me, Tania, is you've not just become chic, but you're helping others become chic in their unique way, because each of us has a uniqueness in it, and somehow you pull that out, you figure it out. Tell us more about that process.
Oh, absolutely. So so now currently I work as a personal stylist, call myself the style strategist, but I used my 18 years experience as a fashion designer has really informed my work today. So the game changer for me, I guess that leap, right? The first leap was from the Midwest to New York City, getting my degree in fashion design and working for 18 years as a fashion designer for different women's wear brands. So it was through that experience I learned fit, I learned fabric, I learned how to design and curate and put collections together. And I did everything from the sketching to sourcing the fabrics, working directly with the design directors to get that collection out. So now I like to say that I curate a woman's individual collection, but as a stylist, I get to choose from a lot of different designers and resources. So just to your point, what I found with myself is using my style to express myself, to show up as that fashion expert. I said, you know what? I can use that and show other women. Mm-hmm. I can show other women how to use the right colors, the right style, the right fit that suits their lifestyle now, that suits their current role, their professional title, and whatever is coming up next for them, right? We're always in this constant evolution in our bodies, in our careers, in our self-perception. And so I used my style and fashion to reinvent myself over the years. So now I love to show women how to do the same. And I will admit there was a time in my life where I was a little bit more behind the scenes in fashion. When I started to do modeling in my 20s, because I was relatively tall and thin, I would get comments from people and women saying like, oh, you're so skinny, I wish I could be like you, or, oh my gosh, you're like such a model, you're so perfect. I actually thought I was making women feel badly by showing up and being me and modeling and feeling good and fabulous in the fashion I was wearing, the things I was modeling. And so I went behind the scenes in fashion. I kind of hid behind design and fashion, more on the design side, more behind the scenes, sales, marketing, focus on design. And then I had the luck of being asked to speak at the nonprofit Dress for Success, right?
Yes, of course.
I had the honor of being asked to speak about my expertise about, how you can use style to advance your career, to be seen as that expert, to give yourself the edge. And it was through that it was my first speaking engagement. I was terrified. You wouldn't know now that I'm like terrified of public speaking. I've had to work with coaches over the years, but it was my first talk. And it was taking all that 18 years of experience of being a fashion designer to now empowering women with how to use style, how to use fashion, how to use their image for the complete package. You already have the skills or the soft skills or the expertise, you've got the education, you have the career experience. Now it was time to say, hey, how are you going to frame that? How are you going to frame and show up and be seen as that expert? And so I got asked to speak at a Dress for Success event, and I just couldn't believe the response. Women raising their hands and asking, well, based on my body and my figure, what do you think looks good on me? Or how should I wear my hair? Or, oh my gosh, I never thought of, the type of jewelry I should wear. I didn't realize how much expertise that I had gathered and how it could actually help give back and empower other women to use fashion as, a tool, to use fashion that's right for them to be seen as that expert. So that's where I made the leap. I resigned from the fashion design industry. And in 2013, I launched Sterl on Style, showing women how to advance their careers, embody their style so they can be, elevated, so they can be seen as the leaders and experts they truly are.
Wow.
I love how you started off in your younger days empowering your Barbies. You weren't getting them ready to marry Ken. You were getting them ready for their powerful careers. And now you do that in real life with women. Every woman is your Barbie doll. I love it. It's amazing.
It is amazing. I got to tell you a story. You hit a nerve with me when you talked about Dress for Success, which is an incredible program where you found your purpose, which is to help the average person or the up and coming person or that successful executive to truly express themselves. When I first moved from the Midwest to California, which is very fashion conscious, I got involved in a program that changed people's lives. It was a personal growth, spiritual growth program. And I was bound and determined I was going to become certified and be the next big speaker in that thing. So I made an appointment to meet with someone to discuss this. And the first thing the woman that led this thing said to me was, there is no way you can be on stage looking like that. Her first comment was how poorly dressed I was. I had no fashion concept at all. And she shut me down in 2 seconds. Now, she was verbal about it and honest about it, that direct. I don't know if we can always have bosses or people be that direct, but trust me, everyone's thinking it, that you're not going to get where you want to go looking like that, right? So I personally have felt that pain of wanting something and knowing that my image was preventing me from even being considered at all.
Yeah. And to your point, it's the full package. When we were doing our pre-interview for this and prepping, right, what you and Tracy do and your work is about that inner work. It is about the mindset, the inner confidence, the honing in on the skill set, right? And not everyone was born with every tool in their toolbox, I like to say. And fashion is that tool. It's not everyone's area of expertise. It's not everyone focuses on like, oh, what's the outside visual presentation? So to your point, she actually did you the favor to say,
Yes.
Hey, in order to present yourself as the full package and in order to be seen in that way, there's some mindful ways around that. I actually also coach executive coaches and other types of coaches. Well, they will ask me, hey, I'm working with one of my executives, I'm coaching her. How do I gently suggest to her, does she think her image is really matching up to how she wants to be seen? Because I find that, when I hop on a Zoom call or people meet me and I introduce myself as a personal stylist, immediately they're like, oh my goodness, you're a stylist? How do I look? Right? There's that immediate. And there's a stigmatism behind it that even in the workplace, that it's more confronting to talk to someone about their look or their image or their style. So that's a way that I reframe the question. It's really asking the person, well, what is that current role, but what is that next level goal? Is it that promotion? Is it being seen as that speaker on stage? So that it comes from that individual. Well, here are my goals. For example, I worked with a client who wanted to work in finance, and she wanted to own her own hedge fund in a few years. Yet she was wearing like hand-me-downs to work from coworkers. And it was like, how are you going to be seen in the office as this future hedge funder if you're wearing hand-me-downs that don't fit or in strange colors, that don't work for her? So she got it. It was, okay, declare that goal, declare that vision. Now let's align your image, your style, how you're visually presenting yourself with that goal in that area of expertise. So there is a more gentle, more supportive way to say it with still being direct. So it's all about asking the individual, is your image, embodying who and how you are today? And are you dressing for what's next, right? Dressing for that next level. And that's what I love to show my clients what to do. Before I look at a closet, before I look at the clothes, before we go shopping, I'm asking my client those questions. What is that current role? What is that future goal? So that they can start to step into their next level you, and I can style them in a way that represents that, of how they want to be seen.
And that really makes sense, because the same way that a business coach would ask a business owner, what is the next level you want to take your business to? Your individual who you are coaching and who you're advising, they are their business, right? So what is their next level of business that they're taking themselves to? Where are they going in their career? And like you have written on your website, you're pretty much freeing them up, from what I understand, so that some of these decisions, getting out of bed in the morning, getting dressed, getting ready, those are taken care of. Those are the basics that you help them take care of, so that all they have to think about is, how do I write my book? How do I develop my business? What is the next speech I'm going to give? Can you talk to us a little bit about that, how you set women up for success on a daily basis in the mornings like that?
Yeah. And like, we're all human, right? We're human, we're women. When we first wake up in the morning, it's just like, oh my gosh, I've got to get up, dress up, and show up and, conquer the day. And there's that moment in the morning where we are our inside selves. And again, we were talking how, the brilliant work that you do works on those inner skills, that confidence. But when we wake up in the morning, there is that little bit of, can be some doubts or insecurity. So I like to say that I'm styling from the inside out, but that inner potential, because what also is on the inside, doubt, fear, insecurities, is also on the inside. So let's focus on that inner potential. And I like to say, like, once we enter the world, we're on Zoom, we're leading that board meeting, we're leading our teams. If you're an executive showing up at the office and you have to inspire your teams, or you're a partner of a law firm relating to your peers, or you're that, speaker, that inspirational influencer needing to show up for your YouTube. There is a way to what I call like dress with intention. Ask yourself, for those of you listening to this, ask yourself, when you're getting ready and getting dressed that day, whom do you need to impress? Whom do you need to inspire? Who is it that you're looking to connect with? And what are those people and opportunities that you're looking to magnetize and attract to you? So that, if you're on a networking event with 100 people popping open in that Zoom room, your eye is bouncing around that room, instantly deciding who you want to connect with or not. So by, wearing a fun pair of glasses, or wearing a pretty color, or Rebecca, you're wearing your leopard print today. Tracy, you're wearing your gorgeous, soothing, healing, like sagey colors, right? And your gorgeous hair and your glasses. So just like we're looking around that Zoom room, who are we inspired to connect with? Ask yourself that in the morning. Is it preparing for a client consultation call? When I do a first client consultation call, it's more about them. So I like to wear more neutral or soothing colors. When I'm in a client's home going through her wardrobe or doing it over Zoom, I'm also more in soothing neutral colors. I'm not going to show up all like flashy and styly, because it's more about them. And I want to hold that space for them. But right now we're doing a talk. I'm talking about, myself, my purpose, my passion. I'm passionate about, style and bold. So I wear my glasses and my fun colors for you today. But really, how to prepare, of asking yourself, what am I wearing today? It's who am I looking to impress? Who am I looking to inspire? Who do I want to, dress to magnetize those people and opportunities to you? So that's a really great way to start.
Okay, taking notes. Ladies, take notes. Who do you want to inspire? Who do you want to impress? Who do you want to connect with? And how do you dress to do those particular things? You don't want to be a wallflower if you want to connect with people, right? But I also thought it was thoughtful, this part of you, empathetic and thoughtful, that when you're one-to-one with someone, you tone it down just a little bit. You go a little bit more neutral because it is about them. So you don't intimidate them by showing up as a 10, right? For lack of a better way to describe it. So this process that you go through, and I don't know if you can divulge if it's proprietary, but this process you go through of pulling out the potential in someone, do you think everybody sees their own potential? Or do you sometimes have to go, wait a second, this is how I see you, this is how the world really sees you, let's get the clothing and the styling down to be congruent and consistent with the way your expertise is really saying you are?
Yeah, well, I think it's human nature we're just too close to ourselves to sometimes see ourselves in that potential and in that light. And to our point as women, looking in the mirror at our reflection back to us, looking at ourselves, our bodies change, our hair changes, our faces change, right? As we age. And that's why I love working with women, because I think women go through more profound changes in their appearance, in their careers, in their lives, all the changes.
Yes.
So in that way, I've had clients tell me, like, Tania, you actually become my mirror. And that's what I want to become for them, is to show them that potential, that beauty, that vibrancy, that professionalism, that confidence. And I think we're all a little too close to our own stuff. The other thing I will say with what makes women so amazing is we're really good at taking care of everyone and everything else outside of ourselves, right? We're focused on family, children, our clients, our success, the operations in an office, our teams. And very often we as women, we're kind of like, oh yeah, and what about me and all of this, right? There's that constant focus of taking care of everyone and everything else outside of themselves. And so I'm there to ask those questions and say, hey, okay, time to get back to you, the woman, right? Time to get back to you, your passion, your purpose, how you want to be seen, and create that confidence with clothing, right? Using clothing, style, hair, makeup, whatever that is, to create that confidence to be seen how they want to be seen. A perfect example is recently I styled a client. She's a fertility expert, and she just launched her first book. So she was going to her first book launch at a live conference in Vegas. Now, granted, the last year she'd been in lockdown, working from home, taking care of her children, taking care of her husband. She managed to publish this book during lockdown, right? Again, only women, like women are just like so amazing. We can take care of everything. And she knew she didn't have time to think about what she was going to wear. And also she's showcasing herself and her passion and purpose as a fertility expert and counselor. So it was time for her to get back to her. So this was twofold. It was her getting out of that rut of just surviving in, stretchy yoga pants every day, taking care of everyone else and being like, oh my gosh, I have to turn the switch on. It's showtime. She has to show up to this event dressed and seen as that fun, feminine, caring professional she is. So we had a moment where through the whole process, from doing the analysis to the online shopping to her getting the dresses, she actually had a moment where she was trying on the dresses and she started to cry.
Aww.
She was actually in tears looking at herself in the mirror because she went, I forgot how beautiful I am. She went, like, it was almost like that whole year of just surviving lockdown. her business, her family, her client. It's like her femininity, her womanhood went, hi, like I've been here the whole time. Once she put on that violet colored dress with the swishes, when she was putting her jewelry on, we had her in all these beautiful dresses. It was like she was whole again. She saw her womanhood. She saw her vibrancy. She saw her femininity. And every day at that Vegas conference, she was sending me pictures every day. Thank you. Here's my outfit. So many compliments, to the point where someone even asked her, you wrote a book? Oh, that's what you, oh, I can't wait to hear you speak on the panel today. And she went, oh, I'm not one of the speakers, but I invite you to my booth. She looked like one of the speakers. So the whole lesson of the story, right? We're too close to our own things. Think about how you want to be seen. Use your clothing to create that confidence. And you know what that's going to do for her? That is going to lead to future speaking engagements, because she showed up styled, dressed, and ready to be seen as that expert and speaker. So for women, right, it's that inner, that self-care, it's the outer, that self-confidence. And that's what I love about style and fashion.
Yeah.
Style, dressed, and ready. That sounds like a title of a book.
Yes, that sounds good.
Wow.
Because, they say when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
I love that. When you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
You don't have to
That's the first time I'm hearing that.
Yeah,
Because stay ready, you don't have to get ready. I love that.
There's a quote I've heard many times from Chanel Martin. When you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. I am so amazed and fascinated with this whole topic. Of course, I can talk about fashion forever and ever and ever. Always wanted to go to FIT. It's one of these things where my mom was like, no, you're not going to school in Manhattan. You're going to college where your sister went. So it was one of those, but I would have loved a career in fashion. I so admire what you do. And I'm really curious, how has this past year changed the way that you do the business of image consulting, right? Because a few years ago, very few of us were Zooming. And now we see each other from here up. How have things changed for you?
Yeah, so my business changed completely during lockdown and COVID, because my business relied on live speaking engagements, personal shopping in stores, and going through a client's wardrobe in her home. That all stopped and was not possible. So I have to admit that there was a good 3 months where I felt like I lost my way. I felt very disconnected to my work, to my clients. I'm very much a people person, and having that fashion design background, I'm also a very tactile person, right? Clothing is like a second skin, right? We touch it, we feel it. And I also use my clothing and style to express myself. So there was a good 3 months where it was just like, oh my gosh, I didn't want to get out of bed. What am I going to be focusing on? I kept showing up to networking events, and I would like do my makeup in the morning. I put on a pretty top. I noticed other women just showing up on networking events we were in survivor mode, even if they had just rolled out of bed or were still in their pajamas, it was like, it's okay, honey. Like, you just showed up. But to your point, the whole world had to readjust to wait, there are still opportunities to connect. There's still opportunities and ways to do business. And if anything, now we can connect with each other nationally, internationally. And there's a way to show up on Zoom that's still, polished and put together, and showing that we cared enough about ourselves to get ready that day, and also project that image of how we want to be seen. So I admit that I had my own struggles there for a few months, and I wasn't sure if I could translate what I was doing virtually. So what I did is I hosted many webinars and workshops on how to go from confronted to confident on Zoom with style. Right? Right? Because for the first time in many of our lives, it was job interviews. When do you have to stare at yourself while doing a job interview?
Right.
Oh my goodness.
It's nerve-wracking enough going on a job interview, and now we're staring at ourselves while the interviewer is staring at us. We're showing up on Zoom at networking events, looking at ourselves going, is my hair okay? Right? Like lighting, background, what we're wearing, all of that. So it was very confronting. And to your point, Rebecca, you also mentioned, I'm a little bit of both. I'm an extrovert and an introvert. I learned that this is called an ambivert. I'm a little bit of both. But for introverts, it was very confronting. So it was like, how can you use your style to communicate who you are? And how can you use your style as that conversation opener? So that's why I got these fun glasses. So it was like, hey, I love your glasses. Or, for those of you listening, if you're still trying to figure this out, think of something you can wear that shares a little bit of you, a little bit something about your personality, or it could be something about your culture or your heritage. Maybe there's a beautiful pin that was your grandmother's and you love it. You can wear that. That's a conversation opener. Or whatever your culture is, or if you're a traveler, like if you collected beautiful jewelry from India, wear that. That's going to be, a little bit of cue into who and how you are, and can end up being that conversation opener. So to your point, Tracy, yes, my world completely changed during lockdown, and the world changed. We had to get used to this whole virtual world, but we have to see that as opportunity. We have to see that as opportunity to connect and expand our networks, to connect and expand our influence via social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. We all had captive audiences. We were all trapped at home just going, who's on Instagram doing what? Or what is she doing? Or what are they doing? So to that point, I embraced my style. I used my style as self-care, my makeup, my routine of getting dressed. And then I was happy to translate those styling services virtually, where I could work with women on Zoom, everything from getting them ready for their job interviews because of how many women, were in transition before, and also women like me who are the name and face of their brand and their business, who need to be styled and ready for their Instagram posts or their YouTube videos and what have you. So I had to learn to embrace virtual world and make it work. So think of it that way. This is an opportunity to connect. So just use your style. Think of those things about your style that you can choose that makes you unique.
Stand out, right? Make you and make you stand out. It's interesting because so many things are now permanent. I mean, we're recording meetings, we're taking screenshots of meetings where it used to be a phone call and you could be, like you said, in your pajamas or whatever. Now you're face to face and you're making an impression, and oftentimes it's recorded, it's permanent. Through COVID and through an accident I had last year, I've put on some weight. And I've always had chubby cheeks, but they're extra chubby now. And a picture was taken of me, and one of my dear friends says, "You look like you're wearing a muumuu," which is like the worst thing you could say to anyone who's gotten chubby. But it made me aware that, oh my goodness, I was in a social situation where my picture or a video or something could be taken, and I wasn't prepared for it. I went way too casual, and now there's this permanent record of me and what appears to a dear friend as a muumuu. Now we're close, she can say these things to me, but I do think we need to remember that these are more permanent records of us that we have. Okay, I'm curious, Tania. I'm curious. The most fun client you worked with, the biggest transformation, the story you already told about the fertility specialist is brilliant. But did you take someone from here to here that was a lot of fun for you, or a big aha for somebody else?
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest aha moments was working with a client who is known as who declared what she wanted to be known for, right? One of the #1 LinkedIn experts, across the country, let alone the world, right? Go global. And like myself, she grew up in very modest, humble beginnings. She was told, be very thrifty, don't spend a lot of money on yourself, be very, conservative in that way. And that's how I grew up. I grew up very, very modest Midwestern upbringing. But even to this day, like, I can make it work. I call it mixing high-low fashion. Anyway, back to the question, the biggest transformation. I think it was a shift in her confidence in herself to go out and land higher paid speaking engagements. So we started with that goal, right? What is her current role? LinkedIn expert. What's that future goal? Start to get paid higher paid speaking engagements as a LinkedIn expert. So, but again, you know, we as women, and I admit it too, I have had to work over the years to, you know, bust my own upper limits or money mindset to keep investing in myself to grow bigger. So we happened to be at a fashion event in a showroom in New York City. And what color do you think of when you think of LinkedIn? That LinkedIn blue, right?
Absolutely, blue.
So, right, the LinkedIn blue. So we knew she should be in a cobalt, you know, like a beautiful cobalt blue dress. So we were in a showroom in New York City, and she was like, Tania, if I were to get one dress here, what would it be? So we're going through the racks. We found this gorgeous blue dress with the perfect neckline, sleeve right to here, the length right to her knee, like the fit, the look, it was like gorgeous on her. And she was like, Tania, you know, I've never paid this much money for a dress before. Now, granted, this is an independent designer, women-owned business, so it's not like, you know, we can all go to a Macy's and make it work as well. There's options, but this was also like supporting a female-founded business, a brand, and it was an independent designer. And she was like, you know, I've never spent this much on a dress before. And I reminded her, I was like, well, how do you want to be seen? And what are those goals? She was like, you're right, you're right. It's like, just put it on. She put it on, we zipped her up. She looked at herself in the mirror, and like immediately her posture changed. She looked at herself in the mirror and she was like, ooh, ah. Everyone at the event stopped and looked at her, and they were just like, oh my gosh, you look fabulous. That dress looks like it was made for you. It's perfect for you. So this is where I want to say it's a look, but it's also a feeling. She declared those goals, and in that dress, she felt confident, and she could see that confident expert she was. And I'm not even kidding you, within 1 week of purchasing this dress, within 1 week, she called me. She was like, Tania, I just have to tell you that I just landed my highest paid speaking gig as a LinkedIn speaker. And I know it's because she pitched it for the highest, you know, fee that she'd ever pitched, but it's because she invested in herself. She dared herself to level up. She invested in herself in that dress. She declared it. And there's another lesson. If you don't have that event yet, get the dress that you're wearing to that event, and the event or the occasion will arrive, right? I really believe in dressing with intention, dressing to manifest, but this was just like a huge revelation for her.
Wow.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That is incredible. And it resonates so well with the work that Oracle Profiles does, because as you said a little bit earlier, at Oracle Profiles with the psychometric assessment tool, we focus on everything internal, right? All the things, excuse me, I'm losing my voice for a moment here. All of the things that are in our blind spot that we don't really see about ourselves on a daily basis. And I love how you said a little bit earlier that you essentially serve as your client's mirror. But here's the thing. It's not really the mirror of today. It's the mirror, the projected mirror into the future, the mirror of who I want to be. I love that. I love that.
Oh, I also love the dare to level up. I mean, that's a philosophy to live by, whether that's in our business, in our looks, in our goals. Dare to level up. This woman invested in herself with your encouragement, and she then stepped into who she was becoming. I mean, she became that dress. She became that influencer. She became that LinkedIn expert, and she knew her worth when she stepped in that dress, and everyone else saw it also. I mean, that's an incredible story. Tracy, I know you're a fashionista yourself, and you could go on and on and on forever, and this is making me really think, Tania. But we need to wrap up. I want to make sure people know how to get hold of you and the best way to do that. Can you let us know that?
Yeah. So if, for anyone listening, if you just feel like it's time to level up, if you feel like your wardrobe isn't really matching to your potential and who you are today, you can connect with me over a discovery call. You can book that through my website, sterlonstyle.com. And I also post a lot of style inspiration and fashion inspiration. I look at the trends, but then I translate the ones that are relevant, right? Especially to women on that career path. So you can follow me on Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook. It's all at Sterl on Style.
Sterl on Style. So I've watched a few of those videos and they've helped me already. So ladies, make sure you sign up for the Instagram and all the other stuff. Any final words, any one tiny little tip that you can give us on your sign off at this point? Just some little tip that you can give us.
I think it is, just embracing what makes you different, because what makes you different is what's going to make you memorable. Use your style to showcase yourself and dare yourself to wear just a little something new that is making you step into that more fully expressed version of yourself. So again, remember, what makes you unique makes you memorable, and use your style to express that.
What a perfect wrap up. Thanks again, Tania, for being here. And thank you all for watching The Franchise Woman, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships are forged. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Tania.